Commissions. I've entitled this, Is This Really the Way? General Walsh has a picture there of the night we all remember on May the 2nd. My name's Martin Lucas. I'm the Maintenance Supervisor for Consolidated Drainage District number 1 of Mississippi County. Our district comprises 120 miles of drainage ditches and 10 miles of low levees, all within the confines of the floodway. I'm here today to state we need our levees back to pre-flood grade. At best, 51 feet on the Carroll gauge affords only a 50-50 chance of protection. The Carroll gauge has exceeded the 51 mark 11 times in the last 20 years. The Corps will spend $15 million constructing a temporary levee of 51 feet on the Carroll gauge. And to lose this investment is ludicrous. March the 19th of this year, the gauge at Carroll stood at 53.38 feet. This means we would have been overtopped by 2.38 feet. There was no discussion of destruction in Carroll or damage to the Fulton County levees on March the 19th. We are being held hostage with no apparent benefit or restitution for the damage that's occurred. This is totally un-American. The Corps is rebuilding Iraq and Afghanistan. I say rebuild our levee to pre-flood grade. I want to share with you some facts and some thoughts. First of all is, why did you keep local levee and drainage districts in the dark? The first information I had of what was going to happen was when 2nd District County Commissioner Steve Jones called me on Sunday night on April the 24th. Mr. Jones informed me the State Emergency Management Agency had contacted the county and stated the Corps was going to blow the levee at midnight, April the 29th. My reaction was, what? The very people who could have been an asset to the Corps were never utilized. Why? Secondly, the National Guard, and I commend them for doing an excellent job, they should have been given prepared maps, well marked, well highlighted. This would have prevented much confusion during the time of the operation of the floodway. And third is a question. The USGS website was deliberately made to stop showing inflows and outflows. I would think this is public information. Why? Number 4, how could you miscalculate inflow-outflow crevasse number 1? The creation of this expensive mistake is far from being acceptable. General Walsh, in your own words, we will remove sand and gravel deposits. And I say to you, sir, help Mr. Wallace and Colonel Holland and the Ambergs where this tremendous sand deposit and gravel has occurred. Please do not say we saved Hickman and the Fulton County levees with this mistake. Hickman gauge on May the 5th was 53.31. On May 6th it was 53.24. The Hickman gauge was 1.81 feet above the 1937 record on May the 5th with the operation of the floodway. Point number 5, and my figures are from USGS records. The projected inflow was to be 550,000 CFS. The actual inflow was 403,000 CFS on May the 3rd at 12:45 p.m. And the maximum measured was 404,000 CFS at 2:30 p.m. on May the 3rd. On May 4th at 5:12 p.m., the inflow at Bird's Point was measured at 369,000 CFS. At 5:30 p.m., the outflow at New Madrid was measured at 314,000 CFS. The floodway was discharging almost as much as it was taking in. My question, where is the storage capacity of the floodway? Number 6, the 11-mile section of the fused flood levee has not been properly maintained or checked for the grade of 60.5 feet. This, in my opinion, should be a priority, because on May the 2nd at 10 p.m. there would have been 1.22 feet of water overtopping the fused flood for 11 miles. And when you take 58,080 feet times 1.22 feet times a 5-mile-per-hour river, conservatively at 7.33 feet per second, this equals 519,386 CFS. The method of operation is grossly wrong. Bird's Point inflowed for 33 days, May 2nd through June the 4th, until the river dropped to 44.2 on the Cairo gauge. Big Oak, or crevasse number 1, inflowed for 39 days, May the 5th through June the 13th, and would have flowed again 21 more days had the Corps not ringed the breach. Overtopping would have ceased between May the 8th to the 10th. Somewhere in that period, projections would show that the stage would have dropped down below 60.5 feet and would cease. My question, why not turn the fuse plug into a broad crested weir? Let Old Man River take control. Number 7, Crothersville's salvation came through the floodway. It has been said and is being said. What are the facts? The crest at Crothersville came on May the 7th at 47.61 feet. The floodway on May 7th was inflowing 380,000 cubic feet per second and outflowing 377,000 cubic feet per second. Now, how can this help Crothersville? Number 8, the financial loss in agriculture alone, estimated by the University of Missouri to be $157 million in the floodway. The county's roads and bridges, the repair cost estimated in the millions. And the drainage district, who has several ditches with sedimentation, and this cost again by NRCS estimated in the millions. Number 9, the destruction of homes and property was complete, with rare exception. On O'Brien's Ridge, family farmland that had been in cultivation for well over a century destroyed. An estimated 2,500 acres severely damaged on O'Brien's Ridge. Also an estimated 800 acres severely damaged in New Madrid County upstream of the 1,500-foot gap. And my last point, for the record, General Jadwin called for the operation of that floodway to drop the stage at Cairo 7 feet. We all know that's been proven wrong. But in his prophecy, on May the 2nd at 10 p.m., the Cairo gauge stood at 61.72. At 11 p.m., it stood at 61.29. At 12 p.m., 61.13. At 1 a.m., 60.98. At 2 a.m., 60.92. At 3 a.m., 60.81. 4 a.m., 60.73. And at 5 a.m., 60.67. In 7 hours, 1.05 feet of fall. Now, I would quote General Markham, but it's already been quoted, and I just want to ask, is it worth the cost and the destruction? Are there not better ways? Thank you, sir.
Questions?
I got a question.
Good job.
How many acres did you say were completely destroyed?
Severely damaged was my quote there, severely
4 or
damaged.
5 foot of sand on top of something.
No, this is actually creviced up there on O'Brien's Ridge. Yes, sir, it was washed out. We have a ditch that's completely full, a ditch with a bridge in the bottom of it right now. The capacity of that ditch has been expanded double what it used to be, and we ran some surveys on it. It's 16 foot deep in places through there where it's actually scoured through that ditch.
Most of your ditch again, you're gonna have to
We're
rebuild
gonna have to, the sedimentation's a big problem,
Yeah.
yes, sir, in our ditches, yes.
I suspect over the whole floodway.
Yes, over the whole floodway.
Questions?
I got one here, just a statement. I think everybody here can tell that Mr. Lucas is an engineer from all those facts and figures he just gave us. But realistically, those are helpful to us in our further deliberations. And I think the last point you made is just the best way to pass the flood. That will be coming across the commission desk as time goes on. I don't think it'll be in the next 3 or 4 months, but that will be crossing our desk. Is it the best way to pass the flood? And we don't know yet. I don't know yet. I'll put it that way. Somebody may know, but I don't. But we'll be raising those decisions as it goes to gates or natural overtopping or some other serious events to actually use the floodway, or some kind of structures or non-structures to not use the floodway. So we will be looking at those, Martin. But I think in the near term, until we reach that point, the most important part is in getting back what was there.
Back to the pre-grade flood, that's what we need.
Other questions?
Yes, sir.
If I could follow up on Mr. James' comment, recommendations or thoughts from people such as yourself would be very valuable to the commission as we go forward to try to answer that question. And part of the challenging dynamic in answering that question, is this the best way, is the follow-on question, how much does it cost?
Yes.
And so we're going to definitely have to be knowledgeable and take into consideration the fiscal constraints that this nation faces. The kinds of things that were built in the past may not be viable, at least in the near term, in this country in the future. But that's a judgment that others will make. We just have to recognize that there's no free lunch. Things cost lots of money, and we're going to have to really take into account the physical constraints and costs associated with any proposed alternative solutions to the current way of operating. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir, let me ask a few questions. Did you get a chance to talk to the engineers at Smithland?
At Smithland?
Yes.
No, sir.
How about Paducah?
No, sir.
Hickman?
No, sir.
Cape G?
No, sir.
Okay, they all think it worked. Thank you.
Right.
Right, Mr. Ed Marshall from Levee District Number 3 of Mississippi County. For your
Good afternoon. I'm Ed Marshall from Charleston, Missouri, president of the Levee District Number 3. Most of y'all know me. Hate to beat a dead horse, but several people up here before I was, so everybody's got the information. A few things that I would like to go over and then check with you all and see at the end of this. There will be a quiz, so y'all need to stay awake. Start off by General Walsh, members of the Mississippi River Commission. I've already given you my name and Levee District. I'm a farmer in the floodway, as my family has been for 4 generations. Birds Point New Mandarin floodway frontline levee must be rebuilt to authorized grade. It's a huge mistake to stop rebuilding the levee at only 51 feet on the Carroll gauge. At 51 feet, the risk of failure overwhelms any argument for such a temporary fix. It's not in the best interest of anyone, including you. Here's why. 51-foot levee at the upper fuse plug will almost certainly overtop during the coming flood season. Look at your records, and it pretty much follows with what everybody else here has said. 51 feet at Caro, I've got 12 times in the last 20 years. I think I've heard 11. 20 times out of the last 40 years. That's either 50 or 60% of the time, depending on which number you use. On the other side of that coin, levee at authorized grade has failed only once in the last 74 years, which is less than a 2% chance of failure. This is 2011, so the likelihood of overtopping is even greater. Every drop of water that's creating massive flooding in the Missouri River Basin must eventually flow past Caro. The extra Missouri River water increases the risk of higher river at Caro, causing overtopping and levee failure. Imagine what happens when it overtops. We all have seen it. 51-foot levee begins eroding quickly, and now, since the levee's new, constructed of raw dirt with no established grass cover, the unsettled dirt levee erodes, and water pouring through the gap repeats the widespread damages that occurred throughout the floodway when it was operated in May. All of our very costly work for the past 3 months is destroyed. What about the money lost on this bad gamble? We're all spending incredible amounts of money, which has been attested to today. You are spending about $15 million to build the 51-foot temporary levee at the upper fuse plug. Millions more on the middle and lower crevices. Mississippi County, the state of Missouri, levee district number 3, St. John's, Consolidated Drainage District, and others have spent actual millions repairing roads, bridges, other infrastructure, cleaning out sediment, build ditches. Individual farmers have spent unknown millions cleaning field ditches and repairing their damaged land. It will all have been for nothing if the levee fails this spring. Gentlemen, indisputable fact is that stopping construction at 51 feet is setting ourselves up for failure. Tens of millions of dollars will be wasted when the next flood recedes. Where will the Corps, the county, the state, the levee districts, and drainage districts, individual farmers find the additional tens of millions of dollars to do the same work all over again? What will the Corps of Engineers say when it approaches Congress to ask for additional funds? And so many millions have been spent so unwisely. It will take a brave man even to ask. Though the Corps of Engineers started slowly, it now has men and equipment on site. They're doing a fine job. Corps of Engineers always does a fine job. Reinforce them. Keep them working until the levee reaches authorized grade. We need the same protection as everyone else in the valley has prior to the flood of 2011. If you stop at 51 feet, we will be the only ones without the said protection. You and your equipment are already here. Do not stop now. Finish the job. Everybody's still awake, looks like.
Questions?
Thank you very much.
Comments?
Y'all are going to spend millions of dollars on a 50% chance of loss, or millions of dollars on a less than 2% chance of loss. I think that's kind of gets down to the question, what are we going to do?
It does, and it gets to the same comment that I had when we started, is that we're looking at the confluence area and making sure that we bring the confluence area up in regards to defending against floods. And so the people who live in Cairo and Hickman and Cape G, as we bring that system up, we'll bring up the Birds Point floodway as well. Now, I would also bring your attention to that there are other floodways that are being fully protected right now as we close those gates, and you might want to keep that in consideration as we move forward as well.
Everyone today affords the same protection they had except for us.
That's right. They both Moganza and Bonnie Carey put in closable gates, which were not installed at Birds Point.
Right. And everybody up and down the river from where the Birds Point south affords the same protection they had before May.
No, that's not the case. There's over 93 areas that, and 50 of them are life safety issues that need to be fixed because they don't have the same level of protection Hang on a second.
The flood eroded structures and capabilities along the system.
That's not to be confused with they don't have the same elevation. They have, this levee is the only one, MRT levee, that lost elevation, period. Now, there's areas with erosion, there's areas
Right.
with seepage and that type of thing.
Needs
But
repair.
but make it clear, this
Right.
is the only one that lost elevation. Overtopping, intentional detonation, or
Right.
whatever you want
Right.
to call it. This is,
As designed.
Okay, thank you, thank y'all.
Mr. Jimmy Moody, Levee and Drainage District number 1.
General, members of the commission, Colonel Rifling, big crowd, late lunch, I'll be brief. With your permission, I'll answer the question that was asked about the elevation on the Dyer County Little Levee, if that's okay, I'll cover that.